Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World, welcome to Tudor-Tember. Welcome to Lil's Vintage World reading vlog for Tudor-Tember, headache edition, because I have a headache that I have had all day, and I've done the kind of, I suppose, the typical things that you do when you have a headache. I have thought about drinking enough and things going on and trying to calm my brain and sit in a darkened room, turn electronics off, all that stuff. I haven't been reading because I thought maybe that's going to exacerbate it. Has my headache gone away at all during the day? No, it hasn't. So I thought, do you know what? I'm starting to feel a bit sad now because I feel really emotional with my headache. So I thought, right, forget this, I'm going to read because I'm really, really in the mood to pick up this book. So this Tudor-Tember reading vlog is going to be for Mary I, Queen of Sorrows. This is the third book in the Tudor Rose series by Alison Weir. They are all absolutely stunning and beautiful. The first one in the series is Elizabeth of York. The second one, if you can hear that, is just Puppy rearranging himself on the sofa. He's a bit like a cat. He sits on the back cushions. Yeah, the first one was Elizabeth of York. I cried so much at that. You can watch me get very emotional in that if you want to. The second one I did quite recently, which was on Henry VIII, and then the third one, here it is on Mary I. So each one has taken a generation of the Tudors. Clever. This is my copy. I have a beautiful hardback edition. Let me tell you, I bought this book off Vinted for £1.50. It cost me more in postage than it did for the actual book, and it's in such wonderful, wonderful condition. And yeah, I just really want to start reading it. Before I do get into it, let me tell you my hopes and visions for this book of kind of where I kind of see Alison Weir taking us with Mary's story. So Alison Weir, I've heard talk a few times, and one of the talks she did at Cheltenham Literature Festival, she did on the Six Tudor Queens series on Catherine of Aragon, and in that talk she spoke about how she named her daughter Catherine after Catherine of Aragon. So she has a natural bias towards Catherine of Aragon, and therefore I'm thinking perhaps we're going to get a natural bias towards her daughter Mary. I am hoping so anyway. I'm hoping that Alison Weir is really going to take us away from that kind of traditional Bloody Mary. I really don't like that name that she's associated with, and take us away from that, because I feel like Mary is someone who's really, really misunderstood, and we need to look at her with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective, I think. So that's why I'm hoping for this book. I will say that the Elizabeth of York one I really, really loved, and the Henry VIII one I didn't really. So I'm hoping we go back to how I feel with the Elizabeth of York one. I feel really emotionally invested, and yeah, all fingers and toes crossed. So yeah, let's start reading. But first of all, as usual, let me show you how beautiful this book is on the inside. So as I said, I got this book for an absolute bargain price of £1.50, and it is the most beautiful, beautiful royal purple. I don't know if it's really picking up on the camera, but it's a beautiful, beautiful purple. And then of course we have Mary here. It's lovely. The roses entwined, this lovely gold. Same on the side, the Tudor rose and the blurb. And the way that the foil just catches the light is lovely. And then on the inside, of course, we have the image. All the images that Alison Weir's books have are so, so stunning. And I love that they all match. And of course, this matches a very, very famous portrait of Mary. But I love the background as well. So here we have it. Mary I, Queen of Sorrows. Spanish, English royal houses. Dedication, Part 1, from Catherine Verrigan herself. And here we go. Chapter 1, 1525. So let me just get comfortable here. As always, I'm taking off the dust jacket. Did I ask you last time, do you take off the dust jacket? I always take them off. Although I will say, I take off the dust jacket and look how beautiful this is in the lovely cream, which just goes so well with the gold foil. So I will probably spill things down it. I always seem to spill things down it off a makeup one. Oh, I've just realised it was a #1 printing as well, so whoever had this before me got in really, really early. Maybe they pre-ordered it. As usual, I'm going to read you the first sentence and then I'm going to get cracking. Chapter 1, 1525. Mary's earliest memory was of a glittering ceremony at her father's court when she must have been very tiny. I will crack on and stop rambling at you. Hello. It is the next day. I didn't read a lot yesterday. I said that I had a headache. And I managed to get done 2 chapters. I'm on page 24, chapter 3, 1526. Yeah, the headache just went out in the end, to be honest. And you've got to be careful with headaches, haven't you? Just go listen to your body. And yes, that's what I did. I did a couple of chapters though, and I have to say I'm really enjoying it so far. So in the couple of little chapters that I have read, we've discussed Mary's prospect of marriage. Originally the idea was to marry her off to Spain. And we've also hit the discussion of Henry Fitzroy, which was the child of Henry VIII and Bessie Blount. Henry Fitzroy, which essentially just means son of the king. He got a lot of privilege, a lot of power, a lot of titles, and him and Mary are actually really quite close in age as well. So, I mean, let's be honest, they're a lot closer in age than, say, like Mary and Elizabeth, which is like 16 years. So, yeah, so that's what we've got to so far. As I said, I was really enjoying it. So, we'll see how much I read today. It's already the afternoon, so I'm not like great thinking I'm gonna achieve some great chunks out of this book, but yeah, I'm just enjoying it, and I think that's the important thing. So yes, on to chapter 3 now. Hello. Just these little cross paws. Just doing some grooming. Hey, you're beautiful. Yes. Back to the book. So I've just finished 3 chapters of Mary I, Queen's Sorrow, and I'm just having a little break to have, this is 2 nectarines cut up. Popcorn to join. So I'm going to have these, and also as I eat this, I'm going to watch. So this is on Amazon Prime, Women Who Made History. I haven't watched any of the episodes yet, but there is Elizabeth, the first episode. So I'm going to watch that because I want to. And eat my nectarines. Yum. So I made it like 5 minutes through that episode of Women Who Made History, Elizabeth I. I didn't know it wasn't like British made or whatever. And it's dubbed, so it was in a foreign language and then someone's speaking over it. But the accent that they've put for Elizabeth is not an English accent, and I can't do it anymore. So I'm 5 minutes in, almost 4 minutes 53 to be precise, and I'm not going to watch anymore because I can't. So I'm going to put on something else. I just thought I'd give you my my review in case you wanted a review. It's not for me. I can't deal with the accent. No. Good morning. It is the next day. I have a little food shop. Thought I'd share it with you before we start reading. So, whole reason I went out this morning was for this. I was just really craving some apple juice, and so I went out to get some apple juice, so it had to be done. The other thing that I wanted was these nectarines. So these are really nice. They're on offer at the moment and absolutely delicious. I go through 2 a day. Yeah, they're really nice. And then, oh gosh, I also got, just because they looked nice, some peach yogurt. It's a very peachy theme. I fancied peachy yogurt. And then these just kind of fell into my basket. It's perfect having a drink. Some Skittles, twirls, delicious. And then this is for my husband because he really enjoys Ben Jerry's cookie dough. So that was my little healthy and not so healthy food shop. Balanced diet. Hello. Welcome to a proper good morning, a proper hello. Hope you enjoyed my little food shop segment. I always find it interesting to see what people buy from the shops, so I thought I'd shove it in. I've had breakfast now with my apple juice. It was delicious, and yeah, I'm just going to sit and read for a bit. So yesterday, I didn't actually film yesterday, and the day after I'm filming, because I've realised something that I've been doing, but I only kind of cottoned on yesterday, was that I say to myself, oh, you're going to read, let's read a minimum amount of chapters, like 3 chapters or whatever. But then I get to that point and then I just stopped reading. Rather than yesterday, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to read and just going to enjoy my day and just take it nice and slow. And I read quite a bit. I am now here. I am on chapter 13, 1537. A lot has happened. A lot has happened. So we have had, so far, the death of both Catherine of Aragon and Anne Boleyn. Mary was moved to Hatfield after to be part of Elizabeth's, her sister's household, and the start of a complex, shall we say, relationship begins, because obviously Mary's very aware that it's not Elizabeth's fault, but it's difficult, isn't it? Feelings. And then the death of Anne Boleyn, and Mary is now placed back in the good books of her father after she does agree to all his demands that he wants, you know, to be essentially say, I am the big I am, literally. Sign it or else. And she does, much to her own heartbreak and her own tragedy, but she does sign it. Otherwise she'd be in a right pickle, wouldn't she? And yeah, so Henry is married to Jane Seymour, and that is where we are. So we have the Pilgrimage of Grace has started. Rebellions have started from the destruction of the monasteries, and yes, I'm really loving it. I'm loving how Mary's written. I really love that the focus is very Mary. I love the pace of this book. I find it is quite a fast-paced book, which is probably helping me to read so much, I guess. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. Something in particular that I think is brilliant about this book is we consistently have Mary having trouble with her menstruation cycles. So we know that Mary, from when she started menstruating all the way through the rest of her life, she had real difficult problems, really difficult highs and lows of her cycle, to the point of, you know, she is bedridden and she's really, really ill. And yeah, I really like that is a consistency in the book, and it's not just touched on here and there. You know, it is one of the focuses that's on the book that, of course, will then play quite a big part later on. And yeah, I really like that is a continuation, shall we say, because it didn't just spring up. It's something that did happen to Mary almost all of her life, because, you know, as soon as you start menstruating, that's it, isn't it? You know, so she has difficulties, and I really like that that's put in there. Anyway, I have got on the TV the best of on YouTube. I'm going to definitely pronounce his name wrong. Is it Bach? B-A-C-H? I think he's a fantastic composer. Sometimes I put on the best of Elgar. Elgar is my favourite in terms of classical music. And actually, he is not far from where I am. Obviously not now. He is no longer with us. Obviously. But yeah, I'm going to listen to some classical music and read a bit of my book. And Pup is currently looking out the window. Great morning for everyone. So I've changed places, changed seats, because I'm actually sat in front of the fan, although I have turned the fan off because you wouldn't hear me otherwise. But look how far through I am. I've just kept going. But really enjoying it. And now I'm on to part 2, entitled The King's Sister, which has a quote from Mary herself in. I'll show you that in a sec. But obviously, King Henry VIII has died. He is no longer king, and we're going to go into part 2, which is going to be when Edward is king. I don't know if they're going to, how Alison's written it, it's like, is it going to be Edward and then part 4 will then be Lady Jane Grey and then part 5 will be Mary, or how it's going to work out, but we will see. Anyway, on to part 2. Is Puppy enjoying the book? Are you enjoying the book, Pup? Are you just being the best boy? Yes, I'm the best puppy. I'm a good boy. Just dreaming about cheese. Yeah, good boy. Okay. Part 2, The King's Sister. Here we go. It is such a beautiful summer evening that I've decided to come and take my book and read a chapter outside. As I was walking up the path, I could smell someone was cooking something delicious for tea. But now I'm sat by the pond, all I can smell is lavender, because let me show you. So this is our pond currently. Lavender, just, it's everywhere, and it smells so vivid and strong. There is a pond under there, I promise you. I love how it looks at the moment. I love the kind of overgrown, very cottage garden sort of vibes. And yeah, I did start reading inside, but I only got a little bit through, and then I was like, you know what, I really fancy reading outside, so got to here. And yeah, let's carry on reading. I look dreadful. It's 7:30. I've had my dinner, and me and Pup. Hello. Hi. Beautiful boy. We are just chilling, and I am listening to, getting comfy, I'm listening to the Virgin Queen soundtrack, because that's what I quite often do. I love the soundtrack so much. It's by the Medieval Babes. If you haven't watched the Virgin Queen, you really should. But I often play it, particularly like, I don't know, when I'm cooking and stuff like that, just to have the music on in the background. They also did the music for Victoria. So the Virgin Queen was on the BBC, but Victoria was ITV. And yeah, they did the music for both. Both fabulous. Anyway, so it's evening. I've had my tea, and I think I'm just going to read one last chapter. I don't want to read too much, but if I read this chapter, then I'll get to page 300. I think that's a good place to stop. I don't want to overdo it. But yeah, so I'm going to read one more chapter, but I'm going to say goodnight to you now, and then I'll catch you again very, very soon when I pick up the book again. I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow because I'm at work tomorrow, so we'll see. Anyway, good night. Hello, good morning. It seems I know myself very well because it is a couple of days later now since the last clip that you saw, and I was right in what I said that I wouldn't film the day after because I had work and I was very tired. I'm also very tired today. I didn't sleep well at all last night. No idea why, just didn't. And so I thought I'd have today, like, lounging on the sofa, watching Miss Marple for the 10 millionth time, which I have done for a bit this morning, but now I miss Mary. I really do, and I want to read more. So I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to read a little bit, just see how I feel. Here I am, I'm over halfway now, which is great. The book's like 500 pages long. And I'm on page 300, so that's nice and round. 200 pages to go. And it's got to a really, really good bit as well, which is a part of Mary's kind of story that I find fascinating, which is her brother's reign. So Edward VI, he is king, and I find it fascinating, I think, because Mary loves her brother so much, and Mary feels like she's losing her brother in a way, you know, and she thinks it's the men around him that are influencing him in his religious pursuits and the changes that he's making. But then Mary, when she actually talks to Edward in person, she realises actually it's not just the influences of the counsellors, it is Edward himself, you know, who was brought up in the Protestant faith, as was their sister Elizabeth. So Mary feels a bit lost. She feels like she needs to leave. She doesn't feel safe. And I find it a really interesting piece of history. I do wish we had a fictional book on Edward VI. I think that'd be good. Any writers out there, historical fiction, hit me up. I'd love to read it. So, as I'm tired, I've just got myself some sugar in the form of raspberries. I have eaten a couple. Raspberries just yummy this time of year. I got myself a lemon squash as well, but I'm just going to sit, read, listen to some classical music, and yeah, no pressure on myself, read what I want to read, and yeah, just stop when I feel like my little eyes just need to rest. So I have read another bit of my book. I'm here now, I'm quite far through. I've read 73 pages. I'm on page 374. I've only got 2 chapters left for my rations for today. I know I said I wasn't going to say how much to read today, but I'm actually rationing it because I'm now at this point where I don't want the book to end. And so I've kind of said to myself, if I have around 100 pages to read today, then I can have like around 100 pages to read tomorrow and eke it out a bit rather than reading it all in one lump, because then it'll be done soon, obviously. I don't want it to be over because I am loving it. It is so good. So where are we in history? Mary is queen. Edward VI has died. Mary went to up north, rallied troops, that's a hard word to say, proclaimed herself queen, and a lot of the Dudleys have ended up in the Tower, including Lady Jane herself, and Mary has just accepted Philip of Spain's suit. She is having difficulties in terms of her sister and her sister's religion, but also people of England that she's no, her counsellor said lots of people, instead of converting to Catholicism, they are actually leaving the country, which Mary feels a bit mixed out, because she said she would like their souls, not in a weird way, but okay, if they've gone, they've gone. She wants people of the truth faith there, which I get. But yeah, she's got a lot of difficulties at this point because her proposed marriage isn't popular, but her sister is very popular, and her sister is doing enough of the true religion in Mary's eyes, but also not enough. It's bordering, isn't it? She's getting away with it just. So yeah, but I really am enjoying how Mary was written. I was getting a little bit worried about how Mary would be written as queen. I think she's had such a bad rap for hundreds of years, but it's lovely to see that she's written as merciful and kind in so many aspects, and because that's how I believe she was. So really enjoying it, but put the book down because I don't want my last bit that I've got left for today to go so quickly. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of time away from the book, have something to eat, and do a puzzle. So why don't you come and pick my puzzle with me? So I wanted to share with you the puzzle that I thought would be good for Tudor-Tember. So ignore the top one, that's the world of Jane Austen, but that one, I think that's the world of Shakespeare, I think. And I thought that'd be good for Tudor-Tember, but I can't reach it, hence why I'm just pointing to it. So we're going to have to do something else, something non-Tudory, but yeah. Just to know that is there in spirit, and one day I will do it when I ask husband to go and get it for me because I can't reach. So the one that we're going to do instead is this one. This is the world of Miss Marple. Has absolutely nothing to do with the Tudor history at all. It's all to do with Agatha Christie. But I got this for my birthday of my husband, and I've done the other ones. So I've done Agatha Christie, I've done the Poirot one. This is a Miss Marple one. It's 1,000 pieces. And I really love doing the other ones, so that's what it looks like. Not Tudory, but still, I thought it might be worth showing you. So in case you're interested, this is what I did for the puzzle, which is literally, ignore my thing's glass. So yeah, I literally have done the outside and like a couple of others. Like I started her up there, but yeah, I'm the world's slowest puzzler. It is time to sit and read the chapter or two that I have left for today of Queen of Sorrows. So I am now 4:05. Chapter 33, 1554. I'm going to leave it for today. I don't want to spoil myself. I've got less than 100 pages to go, and it's so good. So I'll come back to this tomorrow. Let's do this, pup. Should we read the last bit of the book? Yeah? Let's do this. This bit just makes me so sad. One day she plucked up the courage to tell Philip, as in Mary tell Philip, that she loved him, and was thrilled when he smiled and kissed her hand. She wished only that he would say it to her. Oh, that's heartbreaking. So we've now got to, I suppose, the Bloody Mary part, the bit with the burnings. And I really like how it's written, because there are people around her that are saying, show mercy. And Mary, there's this line that I think is brilliant. Mary says, he could have spared himself. So in other words, they are asked to recant and convert to Catholicism, and they are saying no. And therefore in Mary's mind, it's like, well, you could have not died this way. And the burnings are terrible. There are people that they're dying for hours and hours and hours, and the smell, and then there's these uprisings that are happening, and people are so just, it's such a difficult situation. And I really like how Alison Weir hasn't shied away from talking about this, because it did happen, she did do this, but I like how it's written that Mary is justifying it herself. Like, these people didn't have to die, they've chosen to die, if that makes sense. I think it's just written so well. So I have come in the conservatory to read the very last chapter of Queen of Sorrows. I just needed a little minute to myself, so I've come in here for a bit of light and fresh air. Sorry if I'm backlit. You can see my garden, you can see this beautiful orchid here. It's so wonderfully written, but it's so sad, and we're at this point now where Mary's had a phantom pregnancy. She's then thought she's pregnant again, and then doctors have said, oh no, you're not, and it's very sad. So yes, one last chapter to go. Let's do it. Chapter 40, of course, 1558. Okay, so I'm done. Bit teary, emotional. I'm done. Oh, I wasn't expecting to get quite that emotional at the end, but I think that was so beautifully done. I think, sorry if you hear someone's home building work done. I think with these Alison Weir books, they're always written to the person's death, and sometimes a death just kind of catches you a bit, because I think it can be written so well. And this, I feel, for Mary was just written how I hope it was for her. So yeah, I feel a little bit emotional. Oh dear. I think I need some like chocolate to cheer myself up. Anyway, I'm gonna sort myself out and then I'm gonna get the cover of the book and then we can talk about it, because otherwise you're just looking at this and, you know, look at the pretty cover because it's pretty. Right, 2 secs. Okay, so I'm less teary now and ready to talk about Mary the First, Queen of Sorrows by Alison Weir. Alison Weir, what have you absolutely done to me? Too emotional for this. My final thoughts before I love you and leave you. This book was everything I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a focus on Mary, the Mary that I feel like I know from reading primary sources, not the Mary I feel like we have portrayed quite often in TV and film. I feel like we focus a lot on the side of Bloody Mary. I really hate that term that focuses her on that, because it focuses her in such a negative connotation. And do I agree with what she did? Absolutely not. I understand where she is coming from, because in her mind she thinks what she is doing is correct in a way. She thinks she is doing the right thing for her soul, her conscience. She thinks that that is the way it should be, even though it made her so unpopular with so many people, including, you know, by the, you know, I think it's so interesting that at the start of the reign, and I think Alison demonstrates this beautifully, that at the start of the reign, people were really like protesting to have Mary. They didn't want Lady Jane Grey. Lady Jane Grey wasn't the heir, it was Mary, and people were fighting for Mary. But by the end, they weren't looking for Mary, they were looking forwards, they were looking to Elizabeth. You know, lots of people had fled abroad for their own safety, and for their own moral conscience and soul. And I think that was just done so well. I don't feel like there is a, you know, all history is biased, but I don't feel like it's too overly biased. I feel like Alison has written her bad sides as well as her good. But it's nice to see how raw she is. But also, you know, when it comes to being a ruler, you can rule with your heart and you can rule with your head. And I feel like Mary is someone that kind of, she very much starts with head, but then her heart starts to filter into that. I just thought this was magnificent. Now I will say, I am not a Catholic, so I don't know about the religious side of what is in this book, the religious, for instance, terminology and things like that, whether that is correct. But just as someone who loves and adores history and loves Mary, I think this was just so well done. I love how the focus remains on her throughout. I love how we don't veer off to other people too much. You know, the focus is always on Mary and telling her side of the story. I feel like hopefully this will be a little redemption for Mary and people will start to see her in the light in which I see her, and yeah, I think this was just beautifully done. And even if it did make me a bit teary at the end, because the pain that she must have gone through, and you know, but I think that's so good with Alison Weir, because they talk about the difficulties that she has with her menstrual cycle all the way through, you know, from as soon as she starts menstruating all the way through to her death, you know, the difficulties that she's ensuing. So yeah, it was just wonderful, and can I recommend it anymore? No, I think it is brilliant. For me, I think this is the best out of the Tudor Rose series. There's 3, as I said at the start of this video: Elizabeth York, Henry VIII, Mary the First. I think this is probably the strongest, very, or on par with Elizabeth of York. Absolutely magnificent. If you haven't read it, highly recommend that you do so. Anyway, if you have read it, let me know what your thoughts on it in the comments section below. If you haven't read it, is it on your wish list? Is it something that you do want to get to? Let me know that too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna go lie down, have a drink, because every time I cry I get a headache. I don't know if anybody else is the same, but crying gives me a headache, and I'm gonna eat some chocolate to make me feel better, so. And cuddle Puppy, because that always makes you feel better. Puppy cuddles are just like the #1 remedy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I shall see you soon for the next video. Bye for now.